we're now delaying the crossing of the cyclone, certainly until daylight hours on Saturday morning by the looks of things. Although, you know, that's just the latest advice. This could change a little bit here and there. The crossing likely between about Noosa and Beenleigh, but it's still looking like it's going to pass over Moreton Island and then make its way just to the north of Brisbane. That puts the city on the southern flank of Alfred. That's the most dangerous flank. We're likely to see intense winds, some destructive wind gusts, potentially to 155 kilometres an hour near the system's core as it moves across. Of course, for Moreton Island and for North Stradbroke Island, that's going to be a very big concern. And then once it makes it onto the mainland, it's likely that it may have lost just a little bit of its intensity. Once the system starts crossing land, the winds literally interact with the land and there's friction that helps slow it down, and that helps to tear the system apart. So we're likely going to see it hitting the mainland probably as a Category 1 system at this stage. Cyclone warnings remain in place as they have for days now, from Double Island Point in Queensland down to Grafton in New South Wales. You can see the extent of the winds to the south, so those damaging winds are likely to extend well beyond that. In fact, we've got warnings as a result. So looking at damaging to destructive winds, heavy to intense rainfall, particularly that intense rainfall near the core of the system, but the sort of rain that can cause life-threatening flash flooding. We've also got along the coast warnings for damaging surf conditions. We've seen that for days now already, that coastal erosion only getting worse in the coming hours, and then also abnormally high tides. Because this system's so slow moving, it's cracking on at about 7 kilometres an hour. You know, a brisk pace will keep up with that. It means that we're under these damaging conditions and dangerous conditions for longer than we would have otherwise been if it was cracking on towards the coast a bit faster. And that means we're likely to see more damage, more destruction, and also more rainfall as well. Now, even beyond those warnings, we've got hazardous surf right along to the central coast of New South Wales. So this is really being felt a really large way away from where Alfred is. Now, it's starting to look again more like a cyclone. You can see these bands of rain. That helps explain why some people are getting rain and then a break, and then rain and then a break. But as we get closer towards the core of the system, it's really going to become more intense and pretty much more consistent. The breaks will be fewer and further between. A couple of 100 millimetres for some in the gauges in the last 24 hours, 400 millimetres for some over the last couple of days. This system is a significant one. We're only going to see that those conditions really intensify through the day as it makes its approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate, you kind of touched on it there, but can you just take us through what happens once Cyclone Alfred does actually make landfall?
Right, so when it actually crosses the coast, we're going to see it degrade pretty rapidly, actually. Likely later on Saturday morning or early Saturday afternoon, Alfred will be done with in terms of its cyclone strength. So it'll be ex-tropical Cyclone Alfred, but the weather it's bringing will by no means be done. It's going to move inland and then start slipping to the south. But just watch this part of the coast where the rainfall is heaviest, because it's likely that we'll see the rain continuing there and continuing in intensity for days, couple of days likely. And even once the system slips away, there'll still be shower activity around. Now, we're talking about the potential for almost a metre of rain. In fact, some people may see that if you happen to catch those most intense falls, but certainly hundreds and hundreds of millimetres still to fall. And that's why we've got such widespread flood warnings on already, even though for some rivers there isn't any flooding yet. But we've already got major flood warnings on because we're expecting this level of rain. On some updates from me as well, Mel, Lismore, of course, we've got a lot of concern for that community. They're now under minor flooding on the Wilsons, and there's a warning for major flooding later. We've got minor flooding, in fact, on several rivers, and already some moderate flooding going on in New South Wales as well. So it's already the start of what's going to be a very dangerous weekend, and things are only going to get worse from here for another 24 hours.